Hey, welcome back. It's Deanna from Squishy Peanut Marketing, and you are tuning in to our next tip video. Right now, we're in the middle of a series about how to use MailChimp for your email marketing. So last week when we left off, we had just started creating a campaign. Today, we're going to go ahead and go through the steps of how to do that and some of the functionality involved with that, along with some best practices. So this week's video may end up being a little bit longer than some of our other videos, but I encourage you to stay tuned because this is going to be some good stuff. All right, so we'll go back into our testing campaign, and I'm just going to press edit, and that's going to take me into the next step of this. Okay, so now these are going to be the setup things that you want to get ready before you send your campaign. Now, just so you know, I just recently switched over to MailChimp's new backend designer. So if you have maybe a MailChimp account and you haven't used it for a little while and your interface doesn't look like this, check your screen because you may have a notification to update how you're using the interface. If you do and you want it to look like this, go ahead and just do that, update it. All right, so who we are going to send this campaign to. Now, when we press add recipients, this is going to bring up our lists. So I have different lists, including the Squishy Peanut newsletter list. And then I've also got a segment of that list. So if I want to, I can actually go through and get different characteristics for the specific list. In this case, just to show you, I'll keep it just as the Squishy Peanut newsletter list. It's simple and easy enough to demonstrate that way. Okay, then who the campaign is sending from, you're going to add your from information. Now within the back end of your forms, you should be able to fill this out. So when you select your recipients, it'll automatically fill it out how you want it to. But in this instance, I actually don't like that it says Squishy Peanut Marketing, and I'm going to actually update it to be my name. Oftentimes, people will open emails more if it's coming from a person versus a company. And so you can always test this, and this is one of those marketing things that I really highly encourage you to test. See if they open your emails more if they come from a person who's sending it versus the company who's sending it. Now, sometimes in my case, people recognize my business name, Squishy Peanut, more frequently than they recognize my actual name. Squishy Peanut seems to be fairly memorable, so sometimes I will keep it as Squishy Peanut, and sometimes I'll change it back as to my normal name just to test and see how it works. So for this instance, I'll change it to my normal name and we'll pretend that I'm going to send it from there, even though we're just doing a test. Okay, then your subject line, you want to add a good subject line. MailChimp has clues and tips here of how to do that you're welcome to select. They also allow you to add emojis into your subject line. And typically you want to keep them shorter than longer. Even though you can make them longer, I'd recommend keeping them around 50 characters or so. You do have a 150 character limit, but you want to keep them fairly succinct because people are looking at them on their mobile phones, so they don't have a lot of space to preview that message. So you want to make sure that your subject line is something catchy, something that's not too cliche or elusive, something that will make them understand what they're going to be opening if they get it. So typically for a newsletter, for instance, I will write that it's a newsletter and then a quick snippet about what the email is going to be about. So maybe for this one, I'll just put, see what's happening at Squishy Peanut in 2018. And maybe I would use this email as a preview for what's going on with the business in 2018 and kind of wishing people a new year. So I'm not necessarily going to send this out, and I'm trying to come up with something just kind of off the cuff. So normally I would probably come up with something a little better than that, but hopefully you kind of get the point. Then you want to add in preview text, and this is a little bit longer text that you can add that says what's included. So, so if my subject is see what's happening at Squishy Peanut in 2018, my preview text could be, we have new classes coming up. Maybe I have a few new service offerings and more, or something like that. So again, I would think this through a little bit more before I actually sent this, but for all intents and purposes, we'll just leave it as that for now. And this is the part where we get to design the email. For now, I'm actually going to skip it because I want to go down here to the share campaign stuff just to show it to you very quickly. So your campaign will get an actual name, and you'll see that it's kind of the subject line of your email. You can edit that if you want to. And then if I wanted to, I could do post to Facebook. So when it's done, it'll actually post out, and I could also connect it to Twitter. If you want to, you can share your links to your campaigns out that way. I prefer not to because I like to copy and paste them or do a preview of it into Facebook and link it out to this URL. Basically, I like to just check to make sure that when it's going to share to Facebook, I know exactly how it's going to look and that I like how it looks. So oftentimes I'll just leave this off, but you are welcome to play around with it and test it out for yourself. Then from there, you want to go through and edit your different settings and tracking. So you can see the things that I'm tracking here, and you can go ahead and make those custom to how you want them. So I encourage you to go into the edit here and make sure those are how you want them to be. So once we've filled out our to, from, subject information, then from there, we're going to get into the content of the email. This part's super fun, but unfortunately, you're going to have to wait till next week when we show you how to use it because we like to keep these videos kind of short. So we'll leave it here for now, and we will see you back next week.